Welcome, this is Tim David, and this is part 3 of 5-figure corporate speaking gigs from scratch. If you've joined me to this point, you know that there is much more to love about 5-figure speaking gigs other than just the money. And we've talked about some of the mistakes that some speakers have made to get those 5-figure speaking gigs. And today we're going to talk about the plan to get there. So once again, previously on 5-figure speaking gigs, video number 1, we talked about the money, what the money means. We talked about the travel, the rock star treatment, the fun. Those are all the benefits to you, but there's also benefits to other people. There is someone in this world right now who needs to hear your message at some point in the future. Will you show up for them? Will you create that impact? This is a super important piece of the speaking business. It is a super rewarding piece of the speaking business. And I got to say, the impact, story after story after story of people sharing what my message and what my speaker friends' messages have meant to them. So that was video 1. I got some flack about video 1 for the money. We talked about the money certainly quite a bit. I showed you speaker fee breakdowns to show you proof that 5-figure gigs absolutely possible, even during COVID, but certainly post-COVID. And this is some survey data. I showed you a ton of checks, but there's also one check that I didn't show you. And I'm going to show you this now because some people were angry with me a little bit. They called me a rich bleepity bleep, and as though that were, a bad thing. Now, if I assigned all my value to money, then absolutely that would be a bad thing. But I want to show you this check, and I didn't show you this in video 1 or 2. And this is a check that I wrote back in 2002. It is a check for $4, and that check bounced. Came back insufficient. You remember writing checks, by the way? How many are old enough to remember actually writing checks? In fact, how many of you still write checks? Let me know in the comments if you are still writing checks, and I'm going to explain to you the significance of this bounced check. This is sort of my roots. I did not come from any money. I shared with you in video number 2 the beginnings, right? I showed you that bad magic picture. I showed you just some of the early stages of the speaking business. And the reason I show you that, too many speakers out there, too many gurus out there are like, here's the finished product, here's the glory, here's the fame, the status, the money. And they don't show you the road to get there. They don't show you the place where they started from and the straight line from where they were to where they are now. Kevin still writes checks. Glenn says, I do. I'm assuming you either do write checks or are, old enough to remember writing checks. I haven't written a check in years, but I will also tell you this. I have not written a check that has bounced in years as well. All right, so let's go back to our slide presentation. This is very, very important. Video number 2, we talked a little bit about the beginning and then how to get there. And here's the real problem, right? Because I asked people, all right, you've seen the dream in video number 1. You've seen how amazing speaking can be. You have all of your reasons and your motivation. Why is it that you're either not doing it enough, or why is it that you haven't done it at all? If you have already booked a 5-figure speaking gig in your lifetime, please just type in the chat window, me. Not to brag, but to encourage our fellow listeners and viewers. So just go ahead and type in me if you have booked a 5-figure speaking gig. But I've also asked a lot of speakers, why haven't you done it yet? If it's the dream, what is preventing you from achieving that dream? And I've gotten all kinds of answers. Some of them are true. Some of them are wrong and mistaken. And some of them are excuses, quite frankly. But the real problem the real thing preventing most people from getting speaking gigs is this right here. And this was the big takeaway from video number 2. Speakers are far too focused on becoming better and not focused enough on becoming bookable. Before you can ever be booked, you must become bookable. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely huge. Dean says, me, it can be done. In fact, if you want the glory, you got to go through the gory. I know I did. Love those thoughts, Dean. Thank you for the encouragement. If you ever need encouragement, Dean is your man. All right, so those were videos number 1 and number 2. I see you all there commenting. I saw Nicholas and Lori and Ray and Peggy and Larry and Maria. Anybody who commented on those first 2 videos, thank you, thank you. I saw you there. Welcome. If you haven't commented on the videos yet, you are here now watching it live. You can do so. Even if you're watching the replay, you can post comments below as we go. Absolutely fine. All right, so let's talk about this video. Let's talk about what we're going to be learning. Very, very simple. We're going to dive into it. What is bookability? What is that thing that we should be focusing on? Instead of focusing on becoming better, how can we focus on becoming bookable? What is that thing? And how do we get it? How do we get this thing called bookability? Now, we're going to start with what they want. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, people. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant because I caution you and I warn you. You are going to hear this phrase throughout life. And that phrase is this: people want blank. People want fast. People want cheap. People want easy. People want this. People want that. People want engaging. People want inspirational. Ignore what people say people want. Ignore what people say people want, right? So if we're going to start with what they want, and they being people who book 5-figure speakers, people who book 5-figure speakers, those people, what do they want when they're making their booking decision? And how do I know what they want? Is it me just saying, oh, people want this, people want that, but meeting professionals want this? No. If you hear somebody say people want, it's very rarely rooted in research. It's usually rooted in their own feelings. Even if they tell you, I want this, they might still be wrong. In fact, time and time again, there have been focus groups where people say, hey, what do you want? We want this. Then company goes and makes that and nobody wants it. They only say they want it. They don't really want it. Steve Jobs was a master at identifying what people want that they didn't even know they wanted, right? Wasn't he? So how do I know what these meeting professionals want? There's a slew of evidence. There's a slew of research that goes into the 4 things that they want that I'm about to share with you. All right. So this is not just one person saying people want. This is a research-based answer. So I know by things like surveys that have been conducted. One by Jay Baer was very, very informative. I know because of research reports that I purchased. This one by PCMA just after COVID. Fantastic insights. I remember, or I should say, you may remember in the Get Speaking Gigs family when I did a live stream and a sort of explanation of what people wanted at that time. And then I talked to people. I talked to meeting professionals who hire me at 5-figure gigs. I've interviewed hundreds of people who hire 5-figure speakers, including the Next Stage Speaking Summit. We had 6 different people, meeting professionals, Speakers Bureau representatives, the president, founder, and CEO of SpeakerMatch.com. We have people who hire TEDx speakers, TEDx curators. So all of these people said, this is what we want. All right. So I've interviewed all these people. And by the way, if you haven't gone and checked out nextstagesummit.com, my goodness, get over there and check out over 40 different speakers, 44, in fact, my lucky number, 44 speakers talking about what is working now in 2021. Just a short while ago, we conducted that 10-day event, 44 speakers, professional speakers, meeting professionals, all kinds of people in and around the speaking industry. You're going to want to check that out if you haven't already. All right. So that is where this information comes from, the horse's mouth. All right. And I looked for the patterns and I found out not just what they say they want, but what they really want and what really makes the difference. Here are the 4 things. Write this down. Check this out. First, they want you to be trustworthy. They want you to be trustworthy. That means they want to know that you'll follow through and that you'll show up, of course, but they also want their audience to trust you. So they want you to be credible. And we'll talk about how you can do that even if you don't feel credible. All right. So trustworthy is the first piece. The second piece is they want your message to be relevant to their audience. This is universal across the board. Relevance matters in a big, big way. Next, they want you to be unique, but within reason. 2 different and you're weird, right? They want you to be unique within reason. That's very, very important. We'll talk about that. And then finally, they want you to be engaging on stage. And there is a different definition of engaging today in 2021 than even just 4 or 5 years ago. There is a very, very different way that we engage audiences in a virtual space, in a hybrid space, and even live in person. The style has changed for what they want. So when we use that word engaging, we want to know what they mean by that word engaging as well. So that is what they want. I'll give you just a brief moment to write that down as I head over to the comments. Dean says, nextstagesummit.com. Thank you so much. Larry says, excited to learn today, and we are going to bring the heat. Absolutely. For you, Larry, just for you, and for everybody else watching as well. All right, so that's what they want. Trustworthy, relevant, unique, engaging. That is truly what they want. So how do we give that to them? Let's start with trustworthy. I'm going to give you the top 10 paths to plausible credibility, even if you have zero experience, credentials, or expertise. I'm going to go quickly through these, but the idea behind this is I do not want you to feel that you are not credible, that you as a speaker don't have value behind your message, that you as a speaker haven't arrived yet. You don't have letters after your name. You haven't written any books. You weren't even a professional magician, right? Back in the day, which I don't know why that's credibility. It's not. But once again, we are going to give you the ways to achieve plausible credibility in the minds of the booking audience, because perception is reality, even if you have none. We're going to go quick. Here we go. Top 10. Number 10, this is Brendan. Brendan used an occasion to gain his credibility. If you know Brendan Bouchard has a massive empire, speaking, courses, products, all kinds of coaching, all kinds of stuff, multimillionaire. And he built that from a car crash, a story that he told about an occasion, a thing that happened in his life, a car accident, and the lessons he learned from it. So occasion, there might be a moment in your life, and that might take some sifting to try to find that moment, but that instantly gives him a unique perspective and credibility on that perspective. Next, exploration. Here's a guy named Sean who worked at a different job for a week for 52 weeks straight. 52 jobs in a year to explore and see what it takes to be happy at work, and was able to become a speaker and write a book about that. Here's another guy named Sean. His vocation makes him credible. He is a Speakers Bureau representative. He, owns and operates the Speakers Group. He also is a member of the IASB, was a former board member, International Association of Speakers Bureaus. So his profession, his vocation, his job gives him credibility, makes speakers want to learn from him. Let's see, we have affiliation. I don't know what this guy's name is, but I know the name behind him, and that is the John Maxwell team. If you affiliate with someone who is credible, guess what? This person is a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, and coach. So that automatically lends him credibility. And there are simple programs that you can go through to affiliate. But this is also what I do when you see the, Forbes and Inc. magazine and the Today Show and all those different credible media outlets. But also I affiliate myself with the companies who have hired me. And you'll see that on my website as well. So affiliation can come in many different forms, but you're borrowing credibility from someone else. Interrogation. Here's Tony Robbins, wrote the book Money, Master the Game, and he isn't considered or perceived to be a money expert. He's a human potential, awaken the giant within guy. So what he did was he interviewed the world's best money experts, put it into this book, and interrogation could be a path to credibility for you. If you were to interview the top 50 experts on XYZ topic, suddenly you're perceived as an expert on that topic. Napoleon Hill did the same thing with Think and Grow Rich. Interrogation, great path to credibility. Observation, hey, if you're a scientist like Amy Cuddy, if you are doing research, if you have discovered something on your own and you have the sort of evidence, if you will, to back it up, Amy Cuddy has gained incredible credibility with her power pose technique. I want to share with you a secret. I was teaching power posing 5 years before Amy Cuddy's TED Talk. Not a brag, rather the difference was she had the data to back it up. She had observed from a scientific standpoint what that power pose was and what happened in the brain while you're power posing. So of course, number 2 TED Talk or whatever of all time. Observation, great way to get credibility. Accumulation, this is basically doing research of other people's observations. Daniel Pink, Malcolm Gladwell, these are authors and writers and speakers who accumulate a lot of information. If you read 50 books on leadership, then you are in like the top 1% of leadership experts in the world, because you're accumulating so much information, and that is a great way to boost your credibility. Here's Jim Snack. He simply takes information that is readily available and presents it in a unique way. He is a magician, and he uses his presentation, an entertaining and engaging presentation, in order to stand out and give himself some credibility for the topic of change management in his case. Association. This is one of my favorite techniques right here. We got John Beatty, we got Waldo Waldman. John Beatty's a climber, mountain climber, rock climber. Waldo Waldman is a fighter pilot. What do they know about leadership? What could they possibly know about sales? And John Beatty talks about, overcoming obstacles. That is an association that people have with rock climbing that is relevant to their lives. So while you're not in sales, you might be a basket weaver. You might be, a paintball player. You might be a video game expert, and you can find things that people associate with those hobbies or professions, in fighter pilot case or in magician case, and associate the lessons that you learned in that world with the lessons that they really should learn in their world. And declaration is number 1. This is where James Malinchak just basically came out and said, I am America's hottest young speaker. He just said it. He put a stake in the ground and he said it out loud. He said, I am this. And Majid Mogaraban even said something similar during the Next Stage Speaker Summit. He says, find your statement where you are the for who, the human connection expert for leaders who want to create more connection and engagement in their teams. The for who, put your stake in the ground, claim your credibility, and just say it. Muhammad Ali was famous for saying, I'm the greatest, I am the greatest. And that stuck. Why do we call him the greatest? Because he said it first. All right, you can also combine all these. Here's me, declaring I am the bookability magician for speakers who want to earn 5 figures in the corporate or business space. My vocation is as a speaker. I affiliate with all of these people who have referred you. Maybe you were referred by someone and I have borrowed their credibility. Maybe it was Neil, maybe it was Dean, maybe it was Tamsin, maybe it was, Timothy Hyde. Maybe all these people are sort of sharing this, and I've affiliated and borrowed some of their credibility. I've interviewed, as I mentioned, hundreds of meeting professionals. I've observed hundreds of speakers succeed and fail through my experience with Get Speaking Gigs. I've read everything. Oh my gosh, I can't even begin to explain the stuff that I've read on business and speaking and the speaking business. And then obviously presentation. Hopefully you find this engaging and entertaining. All right, I hope this also brings you to a realization. The realization is this: your message is valuable. Your messenger, yourself, is also valuable. They don't just hire and book a message, they also book a messenger. And you, as the messenger, have that unique perspective. And you may think, I don't work in corporate America. I don't have a, a leadership position. Well, great. They're looking for outside perspectives. They already have their internal speakers, the people who work at the company, the people who are, you as the keynote speaker are brought in because of your outside perspective. So I hope that brings a realization to you that you can absolutely do this without letters after your name, without a book that you've written. All those things are great. All those things are fine. But even if you don't have those things, you should realize this is doable. This is possible. So let's get to the Bookability Checklist. All right, we talked a little bit about trustworthiness. We're now going to go through the rest of that true list: trustworthiness, relevance, uniqueness within reason, and engagement. Now, we're going to use the Bookability Checklist. I'm very proud of this. This is something that when you work with me on a coaching basis, one-on-one coaching basis, very first thing we do is make you bookable. There is no sense in going out and prospecting and trying to market yourself and building a website, writing a book. No sense in any of that until you become bookable until you get that thing called bookability. And this is the first piece of that checklist. And it's a tough one. Whoo, it's a tough one. I get this. I know it's tough. And it's to decide. It is to decide. Now I'm going to check in on our friends over here. And Dean Hankey is sort of taking some of these notes here. I appreciate it, Dean, mentioning the different pieces of the puzzle. This is what they want, right? The people who book high five-figure speakers: trustworthy, credibility, relevant, unique, and engaging. Thank you so much. And Dean says, I am what? For who? I am the blank for blank who blank. That's a Majid Mogaraban, and go back and check out the Next Stage Summit, and his interview was fantastic. All right, so let's get back to it. What are we deciding? What do we need to decide? We need to decide first and foremost on what your flagship speaking topic is. What is the umbrella? What is that stake that you're going to put in the ground? What expertise are you going to claim? What area are you going to focus on? Now, I know this is a challenge for a lot of people. If you haven't already decided on your speaking topic, I have good news, I have bad news, and I have hope, right? Let's talk about the hope first. The hope is, yes, if you really can't, if you cannot break up with the topics that aren't your sweet spot topic, right? If you want to speak about leadership and sales and negotiation, you want to speak about, human influence, you want to speak about all these different topics, you can absolutely do that. There are two ways you can speak on multiple topics, and then you can keep all of your babies. You don't have to throw away any of your babies or pick a favorite. And here they are. Number one way you can speak on many, many topics. You can become a corporate trainer. You can become a corporate trainer. And the corporate trainer is someone who gets sent around to different locations to speak on different topics. So you're going to go train leadership training. You're going to go do a sales training. You're going to do these corporate trainings on different topics. Maybe you sign up with an organization like Fred Pryor or SkillPath or National Seminars Group or something like that. And you just go around and you train on whatever topics they give you. You're a speaker. You want to speak. You show up and you say, what do you want me to speak about? And they tell you, and then you go speak about it. The downside with that, we'll get to the downside with that in a second. Let's talk about number two. Number two way that you can speak on many, many topics. Number two is you can become a teacher. You can become a teacher. That way you can teach science and math and reading and social studies and the new math, whatever that is. You can teach all these different topics, and you get to be that elementary school, middle school teacher who teaches all these different topics. Now, the downside to these two areas is really the bookability piece. It's tough to be booked as a jack of all trades. It is tough to earn high fees because there's only one way. There's only one way to be recognized as a thought leader. There's only one way to be expensive. Corporate trainers, when I was doing Fred Pryor and doing 16 different trainings a month in different states, $225 a day for a 6.5-hour seminar. $225 a day. Training is not as valued as thought leadership, as that keynote speaker who brings the fire, brings the heat, and motivates the troops and educates on that one topic. So that is what makes you expensive. That is how you get bookable at high fees. There's only one way. There's only one way to be referable. How can I refer you as a speaker? People don't say, I need a speaker. People do not say, I need a speaker. Sometimes they do, but rarely. Companies, corporations will say, we have a problem. And if you are the person who can solve that problem, you are referable. If you are the leadership guy in the hybrid workspace now, that's you. You are the leadership guy in the hybrid workspace. When companies are having that challenge, they'll think of you and they will refer you to their friends. Oh, this is the person who handles that topic. And obviously it makes you highly bookable. The only one way to do that is to decide on your core flagship speaking topic. Now, does this mean that if somebody comes to you and says, hey, can you come and do a presentation to the high school about entrepreneurship? We'll pay you $1,500. If you want to do that, if it's right down the street, you can absolutely accept those gigs. But what you need to decide on is which topic you are going to become known for. So that's bookability piece number one, if you want to bring fire, then baby, you got to bring the focus. Just like a magnifying glass takes all of that light, focuses it on one point, and that is how you create the fire. Then this is exactly true for your speaking business as well. That's a tweetable. That's a quotable. If you want to bring fire, bring focus, screen capture that. And I don't know what to tell you. Put it where you can see it. That is definitely something that you're going to want to remember. Kevin says, so far, so good. Thank you so much. We are just getting started. We haven't even really gotten into the major plan yet. But I want to ask you this. People in attendance, people of the internet, what is your topic? Have you decided, firmly put that stake in the ground, that you have your focus topic? Have you decided? If so, what is it? Put it in the comments below. You know what? Maybe you might even do some networking here. Maybe somebody else is speaking on your topic and you guys can connect. You know, hey, what the heck? Why not? So go ahead and post those comments below. What is your topic? If you haven't decided on a topic, it's totally fine. Say, I don't know yet, because we have some advice for you. So go ahead and do that. And I'm going to grab a sip of my my coffee here from the Star Wars mug of destiny. And I will check back in with the comments section. So let's continue on with the next piece of the puzzle, because I got to tell you, if you don't have your topic, right? This is, once again, one of the first things that we do with speakers is we take them through this step-by-step process. Right here in the maze, I know you can see my pointer, so I'm going to kind of swirl it around this maze here. This is where you're going to find that indecision. This is where you're going to find the roadblocks. This is where you're going to find the frustration of trying to decide on a topic without a process, without understanding what the marketplace wants, without understanding sort of all the moving parts for choosing your ideal topic. I have to tell you this, and it's bad news. It is. If you get lost in this maze, or if you come out the other side of this maze over here instead of at your ideal topic with a different topic, I mean, this is make or break decision for your speaking business. You know, I hate to be all doom and gloom, but if you get the decision right on which topic that you will be speaking on, you're off to the races. If you get the decision wrong and you pick a bad topic that nobody wants, that you are not perceived as a possible expert in, that you know, you have no passion for, then you are absolutely dead in the water and have no chance. I've seen it too many times where people focus on the wrong topic. They do everything else right. All the marketing, everything is great, but the wrong topic, dead in the water. So we have a process. It's a step-by-step process. It's intensive. It's heavy lifting. But I'll tell you, it bypasses a lot of these mysteries, and you can be confident that you'll end up with your ideal topic. Here's what it looks like, the topic discovery process in one of our courses. By the way, I'm not here to sell you a course. There's going to be no shopping cart links today whatsoever. There's nothing that you can buy during today's session here. All right, so how to discover your topic, and then there's a whole ton of videos on how to really put all of those pieces together to find the topic that accounts for all of the different factors that either make a topic successful or make a topic a failure. So those are some of the processes there that we might use. Let's go ahead and see what our topics are. Change, raise, and you have mine. Oops. I see now. Raise. Evoking change through conversation. Evoking change through conversation. James's topic is rivalry and scapegoating. Interesting. I think that one could use a little bit of tweaking and be perfectly appropriate in the corporate space as well. I'm sure even if you've already had success, you can have even more with a few tweaks to that. I am the pay it forward and profit guy. I help speakers get paid well to do great things in the world. And then now this makes sense, Larry Dale Butler, when he says change, raise, and you have mine. Instead of evoking change through conversation, Larry's is evoking change on rangelands through conservation. Very, very good stuff. So preparation plus performance equals rewards, I guess, is another piece of the puzzle for Larry. All right, so let's get back to our presentation here, and let's talk about topic selection. All right, so one of these things that we talk about here is broadening. We have a picture of a net here, right? We broaden the possibilities because you have a lot of topics within you. I promise, nobody's ever gone through this process and not had 5 or 10 viable speaking topics, right? Never, ever. At least 5 or 10. Sometimes it's like 40. It's ridiculous. So there's all kinds of ways to cast that net and pull in a bunch of possible speaking topics. The challenge then becomes to select your speaking topic. And that's what this process is all about, the topic selection process. How do you know if a topic is good? How many topics should you really be speaking on? The non-negotiables of a great topic, and on it goes. I can't show you the rest of it, but there's more than a dozen videos on how to select and how to narrow down your ideal topic. Okay. In fact, there's 20 exactly. Over a dozen, there are 20. All right, so that is Bookability Checklist item number 1. Do you have it? Have you decided on your highly bookable topic? And do you know for a fact that it is highly, highly bookable? I'm talking like, whoa, hot. Like this is something that is going to be flying off the shelves. Do you have complete confidence that your topic is highly bookable? Bookability Checklist item number 2. Describe. Are you able to communicate why your topic is so highly bookable? Are you able to communicate why you are the messenger for this message? Are you able to communicate why they should care about this topic and that it's great information for their people? Can you describe that in a way that is clear and compelling? Now, description comes in many, many forms. And I think there's even a checklist under this letter D here of describe. There's a bunch of things that you want to be able to describe. Number 1, you want to be able to describe the problems that you solve. What are the problems that you solve? Do you solve business problems? Do you solve bottom line problems? Do you solve people problems? Do you solve process problems? Do you solve event problems and conference problems? What problems do you solve? Can you describe them in a way that makes people go, yes, we struggle with that. We struggle with that. That's the first thing you need to be able to articulate very clearly. And the more expensive those problems are, the higher your fee can be. Next, do you have a 2-part speech title? 2-part speech title. I don't mean title and subtitle, although sometimes that does take place. Your 2-part speech title has to do these 2 things. Number 1, it has to point to one of those problems, one of those urgent, expensive, gotta fix it now, keep me up at night kind of problems, okay? It's gotta point to that. So if your if your speech title is something like leadership secrets, well, it kind of points to some of the problems of good leadership. It alludes to it, but it lacks the second part. And the second part is implying that you have a solution that is interesting. I'm going to use the word interesting. And there's a lot of ways to be interesting, right? We have a speech titling workshop that we take people through, and we have this process of try this, write this, fill in the blank stuff. But you end up with something that's either counterintuitive, something that is new, unique, or novel, something that is surprising, something that feels new, so something that is interesting. Why am I going to try to solve this problem, part 1, with this angle? Okay. Why is a magician going to come and teach us about leadership? That's interesting, right? It may be confusing. It may not be as clear, but if you can connect those dots, you have a 2-part speech title. So look at your speech titles. Do they point to a problem that they know they have and that does not require any explanation? So if I look at that rivalry and scapegoat, I don't mean to pick on you by any way, shape, or form, but that may point to a problem that they feel already. Yes, we feel rivalry, we feel infighting, we feel like there's scapegoating going on. Other organizations, I might feel like, what is scapegoating? What does that mean? How does that affect me? So it cannot require even a 30-second explanation. It has to explain itself. All right, I'm going a little too deep here. I'm giving away too much. May have to edit that out. All right, next, do you have a compelling speech description? This is a speech description that can end up on your website. It can end up in the flyers that they print out when they hire you to speak. It can end up in the conversations that you have with potential bookers. But it is a description of that speech in a way that is, once again, clear and compelling. Do you have that? Do you have a core belief quote? Can you say in one sentence what your speech is really, really about, what the real lesson is from your speech. We call that a core belief. Neil Gordon calls it a silver bullet. Tamsin calls it her red thread. But we have these quotes. And when you have that, man, you can use that in all kinds of places. Media interviews, it is like the thing about your message that starts to get shared, right? And that's really, really important for being bookable. Do you have a statement of value? What it is that your speech does that is unique to you and your speech? Can you state that cleanly and clearly in one, maybe two sentences? This is what my speech does. Do you have action-oriented takeaways? I love this. These are like bullet points, right? Fill in this blank. After hearing me speak, your event participants will be able to blank. It is not, they will learn this and learn that and understand this and understand that. We need action verbs. What will they be able to do better, faster, smarter after hearing you speak? Do you have those action-oriented takeaways? And do you have what I call a double bio? This is describing you, the messenger, not just the message, a short bio, a long bio. And is it customer centric? Even though it's supposed to be about you, is it still customer centric? This is what I call your description language vault. When you have these things, suddenly you have a website. You have, in some cases, chunks of your own speech. In some cases, you have the elevator pitch that in most cases, in all cases, you'll have an elevator pitch that when somebody asks you, what do you speak about? You will immediately be able to go boom, 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 and they will lean in with interest because it's clear and it's compelling. And, all of these things come from this vault of what it is that you do, what value that you provide, what problems that you solve. This is what business is all about. Find a need, fill it. Find a need and fill it. And if you can communicate effectively the need that you fill and how you fill it uniquely, if you can describe, oh my gosh, how many speakers do you know? How often have you seen it where a speaker can simply just not describe what they speak about? They cannot describe what they do. They cannot articulate their message. If you ask them what they speak about, they start delivering their speech. It's ridiculous. In 45 minutes later, you're like, still confused. What was that? What did they even talk about? So are you able to describe with clarity and with being compelling, right? Now, once we have this, we put this into what we call a clarity cheat sheet, our clarity document cheat sheet, and that is the vault that you dip into over and over and over again. And that makes all your social media consistent. That makes all your emails and marketing and everything, website, all of it is consistent, and consistency brings bookability, right? When you have that message, that focused message, and it's consistent and it's clear and it's compelling, right? Clear is not enough. It's got to be something people want. It's got to be something people need and are willing to pay for. So when you have that, you're one step closer to being bookable. Let's check back in with our comments. Love it. Keep going deep. Keep going deep. Let's see. We have Facebook user who says, and I'm just posting these. I'm not even reading them first. Strategies to raise women's leadership skills through more confident, clear, and compelling communication techniques. I like that. I have 2 breakouts: stress relief made easy and laughter for well-being. Those are what we call 1-part speech titles. I would tweak those into 2-part speech titles, and maybe you'll have to possibly rewind and have a little thought on that. All right. And then finally, the last thing I like to have is a brief introduction. This is when people introduce you, how are they describing what the audience is about to hear? What is that brief introduction? Please don't let it be your bio. Oh, please don't let it be your bio. The brief introduction that I have is 3 sentences long, and it gets a laugh every time, and it gets me started on the right foot. Whew. Do you have these pieces of your description? And we call this the death to one sheets. Death to one sheets. This is not a one sheet. Notice not anywhere have I said you need a one sheet. That is not part of the description. Death to one sheet. I have never, ever, 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 ever had a one sheet in my speaking business. Never when the $25,000 gig comes along do they say, hey, can you send me a one sheet? Very occasionally, a bureau will say, send me a one sheet, but I know what they really mean. I send them what I have created from my clarity cheat sheet, not a one sheet. One sheets are one of the biggest frauds in the speaking business, especially now in 2021. So let's all say it together. Death to one sheets. Don't ever worry about creating a one sheet in your entire life. All right, so that's bookability checklist number 2. Number 1, decide on your highly bookable topic. Easier said than done. I understand that. Number 2, describe with your clarity cheat sheet. Once again, much easier said than done. Mark Twain, when he said, I didn't have time to write you a short note, so I wrote you a long one instead, was speaking to the fact that it is very, very difficult to be clear and concise. It is very, very difficult to sum up your message and the lessons that you have for the world around you and the impact that you want to make in something that's going to get that message across and be shareable, right? It is very, very difficult to do that. Have you done it? Do you have that clarity cheat sheet? And then the third piece, there are 4. The third piece on your bookability checklist is to develop a speech that is bookable. Your number 1 marketing piece is going to be your speech. Throughout the entire course of your speaking business, if we're zoomed out, if we're looking at your career as a speaker, you will find that it is your speech that has been your number 1 marketing tool that you have. Does your speech create movement in audiences? Does your speech create an experience for audiences, whether or not it is in person or virtual or hybrid? Does your speech move the audience from where they are to where the paying client wants them to be? And does it result in action? Can you develop a speech? Now, number 1 and number 2 will get you booked. Number 1 and number 2 will get you booked. If you decide on your topic and you know how to clearly communicate it and you start having conversations, somebody might say yes. It's the magic of clear communication. You might get some bookings. But you ain't going to get rebooked and you ain't going to get referred unless you can develop a killer flagship speech, your reputation-making speech. Can you develop that program that wows audiences and leaves them with that feeling, not just of, oh, that was amazing, but also that feeling of, I have to work with this person. I need to hear more from this person. I need to get on their list. I need to buy their books. I need to sign up for their programs. This speech changed my life. That's the impact that we want as speakers. And we've got to be able to develop those kinds of programs. So there's a lot of people out there teaching speech writing. And there's a lot of different ways and reasons why you might write a speech. You might write a speech because you're launching a product and you're a CEO. You might write a speech because you're in a contest at Toastmasters and you want to develop a humorous speech. These are all different styles of speaking, and you can get very, very confused if you're learning from here, there, and everywhere. The style of speaking that you need to develop, the style of program that you need to develop is the corporate keynote. If you want the high 5-figure fees, corporate keynoting. Yes, you can do breakout sessions. I've never gotten $25,000 for a breakout session. It is the keynote speech, the main stage, that sort of really commands those high fees. So that is challenge number 3 for your bookability checklist. Can you really deliver on that promise that you made in the description? Can you create change in an audience in an hour or less? Is that possible? Now we have, of course, this preparation section, right? This preparation tab, and we talk about the clarity document in there. We talk about how to market before you make it. We talk about all kinds of great strategies and techniques. And this is the meat of developing a great keynote presentation. So there's 22 video lessons here. Once again, fill in the blank, action-oriented. Every single video ends with an action step towards creating that highly bookable speech. I even include the only speech writing template that you're ever going to need. And it is 3 parts, super simple. It eliminates all this hero journey stuff and all this crazy complex formulas and patterns and theories about speech writing. When it comes to keynoting, there's really one job that you have, and you got to do that one job, and that is shine a big spotlight, let people know what the change is that they need to make, highlight it, and equip them a little bit to make that change. So Number 3, develop, and that is develop your highly bookable reputation-making flagship speech. This is not going to come after they book you, right? I mean, I still customize my speech. So when I say I have a flagship speech, I take that and I mold it and I customize it. So I might have a 90-minute speech that I customize down to a 45-minute speech for a particular client, right? Next week, I'm flying to Louisville and I'm doing a 45-minute speech, keynote, main stage. And, it's a $10,000 speech, 45 minutes on stage, but that is it. I'm doing that 45-minute customized presentation for that group. So when I say develop the speech, it's a work in progress, right? It is something that you're going to continue to add and learn from and tweak and customize and mold, but it'll sort of be like you as a person. You grow and you change and you learn as you go. So that is number 3, develop your your highly bookable speech. Death to one sheets. I had fun with that one. All right, let's see. Dean Hankey bringing some more action-oriented note-taking there. Kevin says, I'm exhausted writing already. Larry says, raining, internet off and on. Oh no, we need rain, but I need this more. Hopefully the recording is working, Larry. And worst case scenario, I'm going to do this again. I need to get this into the hands of people who want to be bookable. There's so much crap out there, people. So much crap when it comes to high fees in the speaking world. There's a lot of things that can help you get those onesie-twosie gigs. They can help you get those $1,500 gigs, a lot of stuff out there teaching you how to get free gigs. I don't see a lot of people teaching the corporate keynote, business audience, associations, corporations, government organizations, grown-ups, right? Speaking to grown-ups for high fees. This is the plan. This is the process. So absolutely want to get it out there. So true, says Ray. Something I said was so true. There you go, Dean, continuing to bring the fire in the note-taking space. All right, y'all ready for number 4? Any guesses as to what number 4 might be? I'll give you a hint. It starts with the letter D. So you've already decided on your topic. You know how to describe it. We call that market before you make it, right? You know how to develop it. Once they book it, you can build it in such a way where you know it's going to be a home run. What do you think number 4 is? What do you think number 4 might be? I'll tell you. It is deliver it. Deliver it. Now, remember, there are 4 things that they want. There are 4 things that bookers of highly paid speakers want. They want you to be trustworthy. Hear me on this, when you decide on your topic and when you can describe it clearly, you're trustworthy. You are the person who does this thing. You live it, eat it, sleep it, breathe it. You are the person. That is trustworthy. That is credibility. And then you can pack on some of those top 10 ideas that we talked about, how to pack on credibility. You can go and get your PhD. You can go and get a certification. You can go and write a book. All that's fine. But when you decide on that topic, when you stake it in the ground, when you decide and you describe, you are trustworthy. When you decide and you describe, you are relevant, right? Because you describe it in such a way where they know it's relevant to them. Unique, deciding once again on you and who you are as a speaker is inherently unique, but not so crazy unique, right? Not so wildly unique that they don't know what to do with you. There is a Venn diagram between your topic and what they're interested in, and there's that overlap. You're unique, but you're relevant, okay? Deciding and describing is so important. Now, developing and delivering, this is that engagement piece, right? This is that time when you actually deliver on the promises that you were making. This is where you stand on that stage, you get off that stage, you receive that check, and you know you earned it. You know, I was worth this 5 figures for that hour. I know it. I feel it. Just look at this place. Home run, grand slam, highest rated speaker at the event. This was fantastic, right? That's how you can know you do this. So developing and then delivering. Now, developing is what happens before you step on stage. Delivering is what happens while you're on stage. This is the engagement piece as well. Are you engaging, entertaining? Are you interesting? Are you funny? Are you sad? Are you motivating? Are you moving? It could be in any number of different forms, but I want to just share with you this. I want to share with you something here, right? There is a new style. There is a new style that audiences expect. In fact, they don't even like to be called audiences anymore. They would rather be called participants. And that's, just part of the new world that we live in. It has got to be interactive and engaging, whether or not it's live, in person, or virtual, or a hybrid, right? It doesn't matter. You've got to engage. Virtual especially, you've got to engage. So this new format of speaking has led to this new style, but also this new audience style, participants style of learning, right? We have YouTube videos, we have TikTok and Twitter, and these different styles that we take in information. It's new, right? It's new. And if you're still using the delivery techniques that you learned from Toastmasters, or that you learned from the Dale Carnegie course, or that you learned from just your own experience 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the delivery style that audiences expect is now quite different than what you might think. So we talk a little bit about going experiential in this course. We talk a little bit about how to use your body to create engagement, when to ad-lib, when not to ad-lib, some advanced techniques, what happens when it all goes wrong, and on down the list. We have a bunch of guest experts coming in talking about what it takes to create this new delivery style. Now, I will say this is the shortest section, the shortest and smallest piece of your checklist, because the preparation, the development piece, if you create a great speech, then it's very hard not to deliver a great speech. I'll say that again. If you develop a great, highly bookable speech, it is very difficult not to deliver a great, highly bookable speech. So the speaking chops that you want are better than worst. Okay, you want to be better than worst. But here's another key piece of the new style of speaking, the new delivery style, and it has to do with authenticity. You'll notice right now I'm wearing a hat. I'm wearing a casual shirt here. I have a green screen behind me, but I'm not wearing a suit and tie. I'm not up here saying, anything in my radio voice. I'm not up here, pretending to be something I'm not. I'm not up here scripted and perfect. What I am instead doing, and my best advice that I have for you, the best advice that was ever given to me, and it came from James Malinchak. I'll give credit where credit is due. He told me this: have a message, then get on stage and help people. Have a message and then get on stage and help people. If you're worried about how you're doing and what you're doing, you will not be as focused on helping the people in that room or on that screen. So this authentic new style in the age of authenticity that we live in is far different than Yo Daddy's motivational speaker. That is sort of a tired cliche, is the motivational speaker getting up there and saying, this is why I'm successful and this is why you're not. And this, there is absolutely a new way that the audience expects to learn from you. Deliver unique and relevant. Deliver it is. Yes, James Warren guesses it. Deliver indeed. I get to serve my family of members now. I'll catch the rest in the replay. Keep rocking to Casbah, brother. Thank you, Dean. Get out there and serve those members. So that is it. We're wrapping up here anyway, Dean. Those are the 4 pieces. Those are the 4 items on the checklist of bookability. Which ones do you need to work on? Which ones do you need to add to your checklist? Are you someone who still needs to decide on that highly bookable topic? Are you someone who needs to describe better those number of different things that we talked about in the describe section that make up your clarity cheat sheet? Do you need to tweak that language? Are you able to compellingly and clearly describe your programs, products, services, offerings, speeches in such a way that make people lean in and say, tell me more. We have that problem. We need that yesterday. How can we pay you to fix that for us? And how much can we pay you? And maybe you need to develop your speech. Maybe you need to rework your speech entirely. Maybe you've got a breakout session and you want to do a keynote. Maybe you've got a podcast that you've been doing and you want to convert it into a keynote. Maybe you've got a book that you've written and you want to convert it into a keynote. Maybe you've got an idea for a message that you want to convert into a highly paid, highly bookable speech. Is that you? Comment number 3, develop in the comments box. And maybe you need to work on your delivery. Maybe you need to get away from some of the old stylings. Maybe you need to step into some of the new stylings. And for those of you who are new to the speaking business, that's an advantage. You don't have to unlearn, right, some of the old stylings. You get to kind of step in and have the freedom and permission to be yourself and in front of an audience and to be authentic, but also to deliver in a way that's engaging, that's smart, that is concise. And once again, develop a great program. It's hard not to deliver a great program, but that delivery piece is something that's sort of the skin. That's the skin. They see the skin of your presentation through the delivery of your presentation. And that is very, very valuable. Sometimes people judge you skin deep. Sometimes people judge your speech skin deep. They say that was a great speaker instead of that was a great speech. And, so both of those pieces are absolutely very, very, very important. Which ones do you need to work on? Lori B here. I need to describe and develop more so I can deliver. I've got some work to do. Anybody else? What else do you need on your checklist? What do you need to do? Do you need to decide, describe, develop, or deliver, or a combination of those? Now, I see a bunch of people watching in a bunch of different formats, be it YouTube or Facebook, and I appreciate you. And if you're even watching on the replay, comment below. I will have a space for comments in the replay area as well. James says, I need to decide and describe. Man, oh man, that is, I got to say, one of the most difficult. And definitely, when I say speakers need to focus on less on becoming better and more on becoming bookable, the decide and the describe pieces. Oh my gosh, this is the difference maker. This is when people really dig deep and put the work into the decide and the describe pieces, then doors start to open up like you wouldn't believe. It really is a massive, massive difference maker in your bookability, is to have those clear lines in the sand that you draw yourself. And you get to choose. Nobody's going to, choosing it for you. This is not, like I said, nobody's going to be coming along and killing one of your babies. No, you get to choose. All right. So that is the final slide in our third video, but we are not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. There is another video coming. Surprise! There's a video coming on Monday, and if you want to get that video, go to getspeakinggigs.com. You can see the URL right here, getspeakinggigs.com. It'll look a lot like this, and you can click on this join the masterclass button and enter your name and email address to be sure that you get the video on Monday. So that is coming. That is coming on Monday, and I hope to see you there. And oops, that was for another presentation. My apologies. That was the too good stuff. We're gonna have to edit that out right there. So that is it for today. Larry says he needs to work on 2 and 3, and that is describe and develop. Oh, plus finding the gigs. Oh, yes. That is a whole other piece of the puzzle. Bookability. Before you look for gigs, you got to make sure you're bookable before you try to book those gigs. It's cart before the horse stuff. We want to make sure. Fred Moss, I'm ready to refine each of these and simply become comfortable in my bookability every day. Kevin says, well done and thank you. No, thank you for participating. We are a little bit over the hour mark. There was a lot to cram in here. That's why I wanted to do it live, was to make sure we get it all in, and you gave me the energy to get it all in. So we're going to speak soon, as we always do, and end this broadcast right here. Thanks so much for joining the masterclass to this point, and be sure to get on that email list so that you can be notified for Monday's video. All right, speak soon.